Hi, I'm Grace Speroni, and welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. I am delighted to have as our guest today Maura Lessard from Nurse Advocates. Maura, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me here.
I am excited that you were able to make this work because, of course, we've been having conversations. And as before we went on the air, I told you today, I happened to be out for breakfast this morning, and a group of gentlemen were talking about so many things that are on our list. And I'll let you tell our audience a little bit about your background, and then we can get right into all this stuff that's so important.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm a registered nurse, and I'm board certified in case management, and also an aging life care professional certified in dementia. So my company's Nurse Advocates, and I provide advocacy, care coordination, lots of support for families, education, and it seems to go on and on these days, the way healthcare is right now.
There you go. And that's why I thought it was so great to have you back here. So I can attest that you are absolutely phenomenal at what you do with our seniors. And I always thought of you in that capacity, right? Because that's what we did for 10 years before coming here and so forth. You helped us move in residents. You were the communicator between families who are like out in California and their loved ones are still here. And you were the person who navigated everything so beautifully. So kudos to you, and thank you so much for continuing that much needed work that has to be done.
Not just for seniors, though,
and
is
that's where we're at today,
keeps
right?
Up, right?
Yes, yeah. And we do. We have a lot of challenges in healthcare, and I understand that doctors and nurses, everyone is stretched, but you offered me some really great points on things I never thought about. Because I was lamenting about how I was having challenges myself getting an appointment and doing A, B, and C. So let's start off, because this was like, oh, this is so simple, and yet I never would have thought of it.
Right.
You mentioned the portals.
Patient portals.
Yes. So how about if we start with patient portals and how can we utilize them, all of us? Because it's not just our seniors who are struggling with healthcare. It is everyone out there.
Patient portal, gateway, medical record, they come with all different names depending on the medical system you're in. But basically, somehow you can get online and have access to those providers, hopefully to your medical records, at least some information. But I think the access from a communication standpoint for me is a priority. So when I'm working with my clients, or for me or my family or my friends, it's being able to send a note through this automatic system to the doctor's office that usually, I'm going to say at least 80% of the time, it's quicker for me than making a call, having the message go to somebody in that provider's office. They call you back, then they have to check on something, and then they call you back. People I know, some of them, they wait around all day for those calls.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And
so the portal is, and they vary very much. So the major hospital systems have portals, but in our area, the different hospital systems, 3 in our area, so Mercy or Trinity, Bay State Health Systems, and say Cooley Dickinson, their portals are all different. So even, you may have more than one, and then there's physician practices that aren't associated with those networks. They may have their own portal.
Yes.
So it's confusing and sometimes challenging. I was just at the senior center in East Longmeadow at Pleasant View, and we had a little get-together with some folks to help them get on their portals. And it's challenging. Nobody told us growing up that we were going to have to be dealing with all this technology.
Right.
But if you're able to get some support or get on those, it really does enhance the communication. It's unfortunate that that's the direction it's taking to some degree, but it does. And then if you're waiting for a test result, perhaps it's already there. And you don't have to be waiting for that call and waiting for that call. And you can say, oh, it's okay. Or, gee, maybe I have a lot of questions, and you can make an outbound call because you know that the test is already in, so that the doctor already has access to it.
And then I was lamenting to you about how sometimes you get in to see your doctor and they have so many patients to see, and you don't really get to go in depth into why you're there or what's, what are your concerns. And you had a brilliant idea. I never thought to use the portal for that. Do you want to share that?
Well, I think any kind of preparation for an appointment is really important.
Yeah.
So
I
I
never
encourage
thought of
people
that.
to get their medical records after any appointments, hospitalizations, whatever it might be. Get a copy of your medical record. So when you're preparing for going into your next appointment, you want to kind of glimpse at the portal information. You want to take a look at that last record. You want to say, oh yeah, when I saw them last, I had this test done, I had this lab work, we talked about this. Make some notes as far as what your agenda is. And you can put that agenda right into the portal if you want, or write it up, print it out, bring a copy. So the provider has a copy in front of them as well. And while you're doing that, something to keep in mind with all of this is keep checking what your list is of your medications, because that's one of the number one things where there's errors. So if you're on your portal, look and see what they have you listed as taking medications. It may be different than what you actually are. So you want to rectify that and make sure that anything that you're not taking gets off that list, and that all gets reconciled at the doctor's appointment.
Yes.
So it's not inaccurate.
Right, and this morning, as I was telling you, I was out for breakfast, and there was a group of gentlemen, and they were all discussing
I need an advocate.
Challenges in healthcare, and that they needed an advocate. And that was one of the topics that came up, is that when a gentleman went in, the medication the doctor was reading back to him was not accurate.
Right.
And
Every step of the way, every provider, every place you go in healthcare, keep a list of your medicines in your pocketbook, your wallet, in your glove compartment, and review them. But even when they review them, if you're able to turn back and check it in your portal, it doesn't mean they don't eliminate. And if you think about it, people, we get prescriptions, doctors call in prescriptions, but they don't call in a prescription when something's discontinued. So that remains on the record at the pharmacy and in the various medical records. And that's how errors are made.
so it's a little bit on us, right? We should be utilizing our portals, list questions in there, because that will also help. Because I stopped and I kind of thought about this, and I'm like, okay, so if I were to put in a few items that I want to circle back on with my doctor, he's already aware of that when I come in. And if I have it written down somewhere too, because you get in there and you get on a different topic and then you forget. So I'm like, okay, so this is a great idea, because this can facilitate my visit, and I make sure we touch on all of the things that I need, and that
are most important to you,
is current and accurate. Because as the gentleman mentioned today, his medication was not. And to your point, like, I have always carried around my mother's for the last 10 years. Like, I always had her meds. I could read back to you
yours.
Her stuff. Not a clue. Not a clue as to what I have taken. I'm not taking anything now, but what did I take at one point for something because I had an infection? Whatever it is.
And like, vitamins.
I never think. Yes, I would never think to have that for myself. I had it for her, but I don't have it for myself. How silly is that?
A lot of what we're doing with our parents, or our aunts, uncles, the folks that are aging, we should be doing a lot younger for all of us. And I think it's just by circumstance we kind of get thrown into it, something, we need to do this, we need a power of attorney, we need a healthcare proxy, we need releases, but there's no reason why not to do it now.
So that's something you mentioned, because I'm also worried that we'll run out of time. But can you touch on that? Because as we get ready to send our kids off to school, college, whatever it might be, talk about power of attorneys.
They're
and
turning
things like that.
18.
Who would think that?
Right.
I never
So
did.
they become their own legal person, and therefore parents don't have the same access. So I know before my son turned 18, we got the power of attorney done, the healthcare proxy. He didn't go off to college, but had he, I probably would have gone as far as being sure to know what the healthcare facilities were in the area, and be sure that they had copies of the healthcare proxy, and that any release forms and such are signed, and that their portals are set up so you can get in there and see what's happening, because they're still looking for your support and guidance.
Right.
But you are going to run into barriers in healthcare. They won't speak with you unless you have their permission to do so, because they
Right.
are adults.
And what if something happens while they're at school?
Yeah, exactly.
That
Exactly.
could be crucial in them getting care and
And you getting information.
and you knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Things I never thought of.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so easy.
It's
It's just
really
taking
is.
the steps to make sure that all of this is in place and that we know what our rights are. And we didn't even get to touch on requesting specialists, but I guess that means we have to have you come back.
Oh,
and we
okay.
can continue
I
to
think
just inform
Yeah.
our audience about how we need to be more proactive.
our own advocates. We really do. The world has changed, and people are finding that out, but some of it's just really uncomfortable. So we just need to know that we have to be able to speak up for ourselves and be prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maura, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
stopping back in. And again, we're going to have you come back again. 'Cause
Anytime.
There's so many
You guys are
pieces
wonderful.
that just keep bubbling up. And it is important. And I think the more knowledgeable we are about it, the easier it will make us get it, will make it for us to get the
Right.
health care we need.
Yeah.
Best way for
absolutely.
folks to reach you if they have questions.
Nurse Advocates, LLC.com.
Okay.
My website, or 413-237-5724.
Maura, as always, it's such a pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
love these helpful hints. They're really great little gems that you need to hold on to make life a little easier.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you.
It's a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
And thank you for joining us for today's podcast. If you would like to be the next guest at Conversations with the ERC5, please go to our website at erc5.com and you can be the next guest here at Stonegate Studios.